Hey guys, I'm putting a manifold on my CO2 tank, so I figured I would kind of walk you guys through this. It's a little more complicated than I thought it was going to be, so I just figured it would be worth looking at. I've still got this regulator on the tank, and I'm leaving it on there so I can have leverage, because I actually have to undo all this stuff just to get this manifold on. This is a new manifold. It's a 6-way Aquatech. These do not have the best needle valves in the world on them. They're really touchy, but they do get the job done, and they're like way cheaper than getting some Ideal or whatever needle valves, Fabcos or whatever. So I mean, the Fabcos I think are like 20-25 bucks a piece, so that would be like $120+ just for the needle valve, not to mention the hardware also. But anyway, so what I did was I started taking this thing apart, because everything in here is like bumping into each other when you start to take it apart. First thing first, I completely shut this off, and I triple checked that it was shut off. And let's see if you can see that. Can you see it? There we go. Okay. Yeah, so I shut the tank off, and so it's good to go. And I went ahead and I undid this one, and I should have gotten some, I should have probably gotten something better than just regular pliers. Like, if I would have gotten the right size wrenches for it, it would work a little better, because these are actually stripping out a little bit when I go to take it off. So be really careful with that. This metal is relatively soft. But it seems like it just unscrews relatively easy. There was a little bit of pressure on one of these when I went to unscrew it, but it wasn't really bad. Looks like there's a little bit of material, like debris, that's fallen in there, so be careful with that. This part right here is a solenoid. I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, you can kind of see it. The solenoid's here, and I'm undoing that right now. I'm actually going to undo the solenoid, and then all I'm doing is loosening it right now, because if you see right there, it's going to hit. And see, this thing is just, I mean, it's kind of annoying, but I'm just going to go ahead and take it off here now that I've gotten everything loose. So, but the biggest thing is just to have leverage. That's why I left it on the tank, is just because without leverage I would have probably had to put it in a vise or something. So it made my job a little bit easier. The biggest thing is just take your time with it, and if it hits somewhere, then just back up and see what you need to do to get it to come off. Double check it's tight. Okay, it's just shut. So if this thing's open and you go off like this thing is just gonna like blast open and go crazy. So it's off there now. Okay, and go ahead and pull this thing all the way off. Yeah, I stripped this thing out a lot, just going crazy with it, but I didn't realize the metal was so soft on these. Okay, so I've got a problem. What's happening is I've got this piece right here, and this has got a female end on it, and I don't have a male end for it. So, what I'm gonna have to do is I'm gonna have to run it. I got to run this thing out in the way because it's big. So what I'm actually gonna do is just run it through this needle valve right here, since there's a male end down there. So there's no male end right here. See that male end goes in, so this part's female, so I don't have any way to put this into there past this solenoid. So I'm actually going to run it right here off of where this bubble counter was at, and just keep this thing wide open, so it'll just be running right through this. And that'll be a fix for now. I probably will eventually get the right thing for it. I just need to get like a little connector. So not really a big deal, but it's something that I'm going to have to order, so it'll be a few days before it comes in. And that bubble counter was busted also. It was leaking. It got a crack in it from just tightening it down. It just decided to crack, and it's old. It's a couple years old, so I wasn't all that shocked about it. But okay, so yeah, so this is where we're at now. You see that? And I'm just going to keep this one wide open. and that will let me run everything through here. So now it's going to run this way from the tank into here. This is solenoid. This is what turns it off and on with power. That way you can set your timer, and then it runs through here, and then all through these. And each one of these will have a CO2 line, and then I can adjust the flow on each one. So the whole reason for me getting this was because it was because the CO2 in my rack system was I mean, it worked. I had it set up in the sump on a reactor, but I didn't like the fact that I couldn't control how much CO2 was going into each tank, because, you know, the return pump was the only way the CO2 was getting to the tank. So I just felt like it wasn't getting enough personal control on it. So because of that, I'm trying it this way, and we'll see how this goes instead. Okay, so now I'm going to start putting everything back together, and I just got some PTFE thread tape, just regular old hardware store thread tape. It's like $1.50 or something, and I put it on all the connections. So I got thread tape on everything, and that'll help get a good seal. So we can put everything together, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I got everything tightened back down, and now I've got it plugged in. It's opened up, and everything is on. Gauge looks good, pressure's up. I've got this needle valve open down here, the one that I had to tap into. I'm gonna take that out once I get another fitting, but for now it works. And what I'm doing now is I've got just a bottle of a spray bottle with water and soap, just a little bit of soapy water, and you just need enough to where it foams up. But basically I'm just gonna spray all the connections, anywhere that I took apart and anywhere where it could possibly leak, and I'm spraying it all, and I'm just looking to see if it bubbles. And you'll actually see it, like, if there is a leak, you'll see it like just bubbling up, because the soap, you know, adheres to the metal just a little bit, and you'll actually see little bubbles coming off of it if it's leaking. But this looks good, it's not leaking, so we're good. So yeah, Teflon tape. I tried putting it back together without the tape first, and it did have leaks in it, so I had to go run and get some Teflon tape for it. It didn't have any Teflon tape on it initially, but putting it back together, you know, made it to where it was not super tight. So I just I went and got the tape, and now everything is good. So that's it, and I'm gonna go ahead and set it up, put all the diffusers on, and we'll be good to go. Thanks for watching.